Hey, it's Rick Fix. Welcome back. Well, today what I'm going to be doing is checking this oil leak that I'm having in my starter motor. I noticed it a few weeks ago, and so I went over there and I pulled the dipstick out of the starter motor, and the starter motor was full of oil, so I know it's not coming from there. I had taken a picture of my rear seal. It's always been dry. I've always thought it was the rear seal, but as you can see, that's pretty dry too. There's also a back plate. I'm not sure if that back plate just holds the rear seal in place or if that has any type of oil in it. I'm not too sure about that, so it could be coming from there, but I doubt it. And then in the back of the engine, you got that oil sending unit and the cam sensor, which from these pictures looks kind of suspect, but who knows until I kind of really take a look at it. But there's a camshaft sensor right above the starter motor, and so I'm hoping that's it, because usually the O-rings go bad on those things. I shopped around to see if I can find just the O-ring without buying the $60 crankshaft sensor, and I only found it at one place, and that was O'Reilly's. So they pulled off a crankshaft sensor, and we matched up the O-rings, and I bought two of them just in case I got to do the camshaft sensor as well. It's the same O-ring. So let me get the camera situated, and let's disconnect your negative terminal to your battery, because we're going to be removing remove this 10 millimeter bolt here for the plastic shield, and then take your 13 millimeter and take your two nuts off to the starters. I loosened them up already. They were pretty tight. Some asshole over tightened them probably the last time you put the starter on, which would be me. Alright, it took about 15 minutes of wrestling this starter to get it out of the way so I could get access to this crankshaft sensor. It looks wet up there. But also, it's a little bit, I don't know if you can see with the glare, on the top of there, it's wet. It looks suspect. You look at the flywheel looks pretty dry. If that main bearing was gone, you'd think there'd be oil all over that thing. It could be that cover case. Alright, it's a 10 millimeter nut. Let's take the nut off. I loosened it already. It wasn't this loose. I wonder if a bunch of oil is going to pour out of this thing. Should just pull right out. Alright, the next time I'm going to do an oil job, which will be probably in the next couple of days, I'm going to flush the engine. I'm going to put a dab of silicone on this nut, because I heard these things leak as well. So this could be where, some of it's coming from. I don't know. There's multiple spots. But what is kind of weird is that flywheel's dry. And you would think with the airflow in there, with the flywheel turning, it's got to create some type of wind tunnel or a vacuum to suck the oil off of that rear seal or even the rear case, so the flywheel would be wet. It'd be full of oil, but it's not. I just don't see the flywheel being wet at all. So let's go look at the engine and see if we can see anything coming from up there. All right, well, you can see the oil inlet tube is leaking a little bit. the valve cover gasket I changed probably a couple years ago. I never changed the grommets for the screws, so that could be valve cover gaskets are leaking a little bit. I don't see anything major coming out. Let's look back and see the oil sending unit and the camshaft sensor if we can see it.
But as you can see by my my power supply, well, it's not the same as my meter, so I go by the meter. So, guess I'll turn the light back on. So what the controversy was is, will a test light verify that you have sufficient power when you're testing and you really don't need the load pro? So we're at 13.4 here, and I'm going to lower the power supply down, and you look and see at the test light. Now we're down to, say, there's 10 volts, and we're 135 milliamps, and you can tell that there's a big swing there. Like here we're back up to, say, 12.3, and you go down 2 volts, and you can see a big difference in the swing. So I would say yes, the test light. I mean, if the vehicle's running and you're up to, say, 13, man, she shines pretty bright. Now, most vehicles, you're looking at about maybe 12, even if you're just after running, you say 12.7, and you look at a line and it's down to, say, 10, well, you can really tell that test light. And if you go down to, say, anything below 9 and it's barely lit. So I would say yes, the test light is number one. I would say, that's verifying a lot of things. And what I'm going to do in the next clip is show you something about the power probe. Well, it's not a power probe. Let's not get these things mixed up now. A lot of people are saying power probe, load probe, test light. They're all 3 different separate entities, and we're going to take a look.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. It wasn't the crankshaft sensor. I tried pulling that thing out of there. It wouldn't come out, so I don't think it was leaking. So I just put the nut back in there and put the starter back in. It was kind of difficult getting the starter out of there. It was 10 times as hard putting it back in there. Whoever the engineer was who designed that was an asshole. Yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult. I think I got a few leaks going on. I think the oil plug might be one of them, so I'm going to put some silicone on that the next time I change my oil, which I'm going to engine flush. And then it's probably that rear main seal, although it looks dry, the wheel's not wet, or it's the rear main seal cover plate, or it could be the back of the gasket to the oil pan. I'm really not too sure. I'd love to drop the tranny and the diff in the transfer case, but I just don't have time. I'm headed down to Scottsdale next week, so yeah, that's going to have to wait. Those leaks, they bother me. I don't like having them, but it's an old vehicle. What are you going to do? I'm going to probably change out my valve cover gaskets. I want to spray some B12 down in my lifters, and then change out the grommets to the nuts of the valve covers, and maybe take a peek back at that oil sending unit and the camshaft sensor. The engine's running really great. It's got a little bit of stubble hesitation on idle, but for 240,000 miles, man, the thing's running pretty good. I'm just oil leaks bother me, and I don't like them. But anyways, what are you gonna do? I don't live in a perfect world. All right, I want to wish everybody happy holidays and have a happy new year as well. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I will see you on the next round.